Hi everyone, it's 8:30, so we'll get started. So welcome to the week 6 of the rolling programme. So what we're going to be going through this evening is we're going to talk about getting to company events, and we've had a fantastic day today. We've been to the masterclass, the Area 170 masterclass, some really inspiring training we've had today, and I've asked Deb Pickering, who was there today with me. She had a fantastic day. We just loved it. It was amazing. And I've just asked Deb to share with us for a couple of minutes what she got from today and what she gets from getting to all the company events. So over to you, Deb.
Hi. I think today was particularly good for me, although I do need to remember in future to make sure I have a mascara in my bag, because I think I just cried by lunchtime. There were two things in particular that got to me. One was the story again of Rick and Dick Hoyt, which is where the son was born disabled, I believe, and he wanted to do the triathlon, and his dad, who's 73, trained so that he could take his son on the triathlon, and that just set me off. And I just thought we do things that we wouldn't do for ourselves, but we're prepared to do those for our families. And I thought if we can carry that into our business even more than we do already, then that's a motivator, isn't it? But then when April was talking, she said something that I've heard her say before, but today it impacted me in a different way. She said, I want the world to know that I came this way, and I want the world to know that I cared. And she was talking about leaving a legacy other than what she leaves to her family. And she was talking about helping, doing something to help end human trafficking. And again, I just thought, wow, if we could use some of what we make in Forever for a bigger purpose other than just making our own lives and our families' lives more comfortable, how awesome that would be. And that's what today meant to me.
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks, Deb. And yeah, as Deb said, you know, when you get to the company events, it's not about necessarily what we learn about the business. It's what we learn about ourselves and about our journey. And, you know, Deb and I, you know, we work a lot on ourselves. We do a lot of mindset work. And that really brings into what we do on a daily basis and how that can really, you know, work on how it can help us grow our businesses. So really appreciate that, Deb. Thanks. And I know you really got connected with today. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was just an amazing event. So thanks for that. And to be honest, you know, Deb is building a great business. She has took on board from day one exactly what I've coached, and that is to get to as many events as possible. And Deb's has done that. She's been to absolutely everything. So I really commend you on that, Debs. And you know, we had a fantastic day today. So you know, it really is important to get to company events, and so you can see the bigger picture. You can hear other people's stories, and you know how they're building their businesses and how, you know, the journey that they're going through as well. It's really important, and I just can't stress that enough. So whatever is going on local to you in your area, it's so important to actually get to the company events. Okay, so thank you ever so much for that, Deb, and fantastic. It was great to see you today as well. Looking forward to seeing you in the morning. Okay, so also tonight we're going to be going through planning with your new distributor, volume mapping to supervisor and beyond, habits of a leader, your 5-year vision, and finally. So just to review last week. So last week we went through building your dream book, and you've got your dream book either, or your dream book or your goal book, goal board, sorry, depending on what's best for you. Again, we saw some different pictures of people's boards today and what they had or hadn't got on them. So, you know, it's so inspiring when you see these different people's their boards as well. Using the product, sharing the products, sponsoring, coaching, planning with your new distributors, your new Forever business owners, personal development, building your pipeline and getting those new gel drinkers and your regular customers. And what we heard today was it's not about, focusing on all of the products, all over, we've got over 300 products in the full range. Don't focus on all of those products. Focus on, a handful of products. People are focusing on maybe 6 to 10 different products that they're really, really passionate about. Focus on those products, and then you start to build your customer base around those products. Okay, so I'm going to go over to Jo now. She's going to take us over through the first part of this evening. Over to you, Jo.
Thanks, Helen. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to go through with how to plan with your new distributor or new FBO. Okay, so you first of all need to help them understand their why. Okay, everyone's got their own reasons for getting involved and for moving the business forward. So we do that by going through the first couple of pages in the First Steps to Manager book to help them understand the why and why it is that they're going to, get up in the morning and do some activity. So don't overwhelm or overload them. It's really important with new people that you go at their pace. I always say to new people, this is all about you. We're going to go at your pace. If we're going too quickly, let me know. If we're not going quick enough, let me know. Okay, you need to communicate with them and let them know that you're there to help them and you're happy to go at whatever pace is best for them. And so get them inspired and excited. So if you connect them to the why, they know why it is they're doing it, they're going to get excited about it. It's going to inspire them to move forward. The first step to manage a planning system, giving them simple tracks to run on. So the first step to manage a book everybody should be using. Everything is in there that you need to help people get the business started. So it teaches them how to share the products, how to share the business, and also the key training and events, which are really important. Okay, so fire and focus. So fostering the right attitude in someone is definitely more important than overloading them with information. There's no point in just going through the whole book, overloading them, they're not taking it all in, and they're not really sure why it is they're doing it. You need to do it properly. You need to first help them find out why they're doing it. They've got the right attitude then, and then they're ready. You've got to do things at their pace. Everybody is different. It takes some people longer than others. So planning and training are completely two different things. You need to focus on a big plan. So in the First Steps to Manager book, you've got some small goals, some medium goals, and some big goals. It's a bit scary, it's a bit difficult at first to set the big goals, but you need to find out what it is they're looking for long term, and then you can help them achieve that. Take responsibility for them taking action. It's everyone's doing the 7-day plans. From day one, from the first week in the business. So it's up to us to make sure that they're going through the 7-day plans, and you're helping them then on a day-to-day basis of what to do to break it down, and helping them and keeping in touch with them to making sure that they're actually taking action. So regular contact is crucial. That works both ways. You really need to keep in touch with your new people and to make sure they're all right and to make sure that they know what they're doing. Okay, so discovering their why. So it's not that you know, it's so that they know. It's so that they know when they get up in the morning and go to work in the business, why they're doing it. So working closely with them, like I said, on the first couple of pages of the First Steps to Manager book, and get agreement that they're willing to go to work, for what they want. So you ask them the question, this is what you want. We've set your goals now. Are you prepared to work for these things that you want? Ask the question. Are you serious about your goals? Because if you are, we need to get to work and we need to work your plan. So it's a really simple business. We're going to get them retailing, get them sponsoring, and get them excited. Okay, so the 5 pillars of success. So there's only 5 things that we need to do. Really, really simple. Number 1, we need to use the products. So you need to be using the products yourself, as many products as you can, to be able to then recommend them on to others, and then you'll be able to start retailing the products. So if you're using the products, you'll find that you talk about the ones that you're using. So make sure that you don't have to like everything, but make sure you try as much of the range as possible, and then focus on the key products that you like yourself and talk about those. Sponsoring, so bringing new people into the business on a monthly basis. Coaching, and then personal development is absolutely massive. There's no point in doing the first 4 if you're not doing number 5. You need to be doing all these things together to make your business work. Now, people always say, at events, every time you go, work harder on yourself than you do on your business. And I never really understood that, because I thought if I'm just working on myself all the time, I won't be moving my business forward. But it's taken me a long time, to be honest, but I now understand why it's so important. We're doing so much lately on my mindset, why it's so important to do that, as well as the activity, that I'm working so much harder on on myself and my personal development, and it will you know, help me move my business forward. So it's really, really important that you do all of the 5 pillars together. And also, you know, understanding the marketing plan. You're not going to know that from day one. That takes time to understand the marketing plan, but it's really important that you learn that. Okay, so new people, they're going to have questions, concerns, and they're going to have expectations of these different things. So, you know, the goals and the why, you know, why have we got to do it? I didn't know why I had to set goals. Helen just told me I had to do it, so I did. I didn't understand it. I'd never done that before. Some people have. I hadn't. So, you know, I just, you know, I had lots of questions about that. I just really got on with it, but I wasn't really sure at first why I was doing it. Sales, so, you know, building a customer base. So yeah, I know I was really worried about that. I didn't know many people, you know, where I lived. I thought, how am I going to do that? So I had lots of concerns about that, but I just listened to everything that I was taught and everything that I was coached, and I was able to do it. So teams are sponsoring and coaching, you know, how are we going to find these people? So new people are going to have concerns about that. You know, how are we going to find new people into the team, and how are we going to coach them, because, you know, we've never done this before, but again, you get all the help that you need to do that. And motivation, so training events, you know, why have we got to go to these training events? Again, you know, you don't understand until you actually go. It's not until you go to Success Day or go to a big training that you then understand, you know, why it is that you're doing the business, because you see the bigger picture with the company and what it's going to give you, hearing everybody else's stories. So, you know, you need to be promoting the events to your new team members, which means you need to be going. You need to be going yourself to be able to promote to your team, and create some excitement. So, and number 6, a follow up and accountability. You need to be, you know, following up with them, keeping in touch with them, and they need to be accountable for their own business, and you need to be accountable for keeping in touch with them. Okay, so volume mapping. So this is something that we do every month, either at the end of the month for the following month or the beginning of the month. So we try and do this, you know, with all the team. Some people just, you know, do it and send it, and we'll go through it with them. Or some people that they like to go through it on a one-to-one. That's absolutely fine. So why do we need to volume map? So it's to monitor case credits in the team. Okay, so everyone's got their own volume mapping, so you know what case credits you're going to do personally and what case credits are going to go through your team. To help team reach positions, if you've got a team going for any position, it could be a 4 case credit pin, it could be supervisor, you know, whatever it is, you know, you need to be tracking it. You need to know how you're going to reach that position. It's to be in control of your journey. You know, you wouldn't, you wouldn't set off for a 200-mile journey without actually planning, you know, where you're going, where you're going to stay, what roads you're going to take. You know, this is no different. You need to plan where you're going to get to and how you're going to get there. It's a visual example of the possibility, so you write it down, you can see where the case credits are going to come from, and it's really exciting doing this every month to make sure nobody ever misses a position or an incentive. If you go at the moment, the incentive is for the New York and all the different trips that the company are putting on. Now, you know, there's a chance that you could miss that, you know, if you're not focused on it, and you need to know exactly what you need to do to get there and keep track of it. And obviously all this creates excitement. Okay, so what you need to do is plan each team member first and work it upwards. So there's 6 different things that we plan in. We've got number 1, which is personal use. So, you know, what are you going to use? Personal use this month yourself, and you're going to have a low and a high. So what's the minimum you're going to use and what's the most you're potentially going to use? Number 2 is existing customers. Customers have you got? What sort of case credits is minimum that's going to go through your business, and what potentially could be a high? Number 3 is pop baskets, pamper baskets, whatever you want to call them, lending somebody a product, just getting products out to people and talking to people. So, you know, what is the low, what is the minimum you're going to do that month, and then what potentially could be your high? launches and events, so what launches have you got booked in? If you're new, book as many launches in as possible. Book events in anywhere where you're in front of people, even if just one person, it's a launch, it's an event. Anywhere where you can get in front of people. So what's the minimum you're going to do, what's your low and what's your high there. C9s, so if you're new in the business, if you've not done the C9, you need to do it. You need to do the C9 first, not necessarily to lose weight, but to cleanse and to feel better and to have more energy. Now once you've done the C9, you'll then be able to help other people and to promote it yourself, and the benefits of how it helped you. So how many C9s can you retail this month as a low and how many as a high? And then number 6 is sponsoring. So how many new people are you going to bring into the business this month? And then again, you need a low and a high plan. So you draw the circles out. So it's you draw yourself in a circle, any team members that you've already got in a circle, and then you draw a dotted line and a dotted circle for potential new team members. So if you as a low going to sponsor 2 people, you need 2 dotted lines and 2 dotted circles coming away from yourself, and then you fill them in when you sponsor, so you can see your circles and your plan growing bigger and bigger as the months go on. So work with colleagues who want to duplicate what you're doing. So really help the people that are wanting to move forward. Anybody that's wanting to move their business forward, we need to be planning with and we need to be helping them. And it is exciting. It's exciting every month when you can see your plan getting bigger and bigger. Okay, so this is an example of what the case credits can look like. So here there's you, this is your personal use, so you're going to do a low of half and a high of 1. Repeat orders, a low of 2 and a high of 2.5. Pop boxes and talking to people, a low of half and a high of 1. Product launches, a low of 1 and a high of 2, so probably 1 or 2 launches booked in there. C9s, a low of a half and a high of 1, so that's a low of 1 C9 and a high of 2, and sponsoring a low of 1.085 and a high of 2.17. So it's sponsoring 1 person as a minimum and 2 people as a high. So what we do is we add them all up together. So if you add up all the lows, it comes to 5.585. And if you add up all the highs, it comes to 9.67. Now what you need to do, if you add them together and divide it by 2, that will give you an average of the 2. So what normally happens is people fall somewhere in the middle of the low and the high. So you add them together, divide it by 2, and that gives you your average of the month for yourself. Okay, so so 1 case credit for an assistant supervisor gives you £70 profit. So you've got the layout of what your plan should look like here. So you've got the 1 to 6, you put your case credits low to high, and also then you've got the money. So what can you earn from retailing the products and from doing these 1 to 6. So you break it down. Your sponsor will help you if you've never done this before. So sponsoring, so if you are assistant supervisor, every time you bring a new person into the business, you'll receive £39. You'll get £29 of that throughout the month, and the other £10 you will get on the 15th. If you're supervisor, that works out at £45. Assistant manager, you get £54, and for manager, you get £64 every time you bring in a new person. Okay, so this, like just say as an example, so the case credits here, that's your low and your high, and then if you break it down with the money value, you can see there for, obviously for personal use, you're not earning any money on that because you're already getting a discount. For existing customers with the case credits there, that's a low of £140 and a high of £175. For pups, talking to people, a low of £35 and a high of £70, so that's half a case credit and then 1 case credit. Launches and events at 70 to 140, C9 35 to 70, and sponsoring for 1 person it'll be 39, for 2 people it'll be 78. So if you add them up together, if you do your low case credits of 5.585, you're going to earn £319. And how great is that? But if you do your high of 9.67, you're going to earn £533. So break it down, have a look at what you're going to be earning, and then obviously once you're supervisor, your team leading bonus is on top of that. So you probably fall somewhere in the middle there. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to map your team member. So this is Jim. So we're going to do exactly the same with Jim as what you've done with yourself, okay? So you've got Jim here, personal use, he's going to use between 0.5 and 1. He's brand new in the business. He's not got any existing customers yet, so he's got to build on that. We're going to help him with that. So 3 pups and talking to people. He's going to do between 1.5 to 2. So that means he's going to be out talking to a lot of people and out getting a lot of pup baskets out. But he's going to earn between 105 and 140 pounds a month for doing that. Launches and events, he's probably got 2 or 3 launches booked in, so a low of 2 and a high of 3, and that's going to earn him between 140 and 210 pounds. C9, so he's probably not done it himself, so he needs to do that, so he's not put any as a low, and we'll put just one C9 as a high, so that would be 35 pounds profit for that. And then sponsor it, so he's wanting to sponsor a minimum of 1 person and a high of 2. Okay, so if we add those case credits up, he's going to be doing a low of 5.085, which will be £284, and a high of 8.67, which is £463. Okay, we've got Sue. We do exactly the same with Sue. So you can see there the 1 to 6 again, what case credits Sue's going to do. So if you add them all up, Sue's going to be doing 4 case credits and the high of 7.585. So her profit for the month is somewhere between 245 and 424. Okay, so what we need to do, so you've got yourself and then you've got 2 team members. So you've done your plan, you've done Jim's and you've done Sue's, and then what we need to do now is to add them all together. So you've got then your volume map of your whole team. So if you add it all 3 together, that gives you 14.67 case credits as a low, and as a high you've got 25.925 case credits. So again, you probably fall somewhere in the middle. So if you're not supervisor already, this month should get you to supervisor. Okay, so there's just a picture example of what the volume map looks like. So there's you in the circle with Sue and Jim coming off you, and then you've got your dotted lines and dotted circles coming off yourself. So you're wanting to sponsor 2 people, and then you've got a potential dotted line and dotted circle of one of your new people. So if you sponsor early in the month, there's a potential then that they might sponsor and bring in somebody new. You've got Sue there with a 1 and Jim there with 2 new people coming off him. Helen, when am I handing back to you?
Yeah, that's brilliant, Jo. Fantastic, thank you. So yeah, that's really important to volume map through your team, and then you can start effectively doing, putting it on paper. And again, we heard today how fantastic it is to put things on a whiteboard. I remember my first whiteboard was a small whiteboard. You put dotted lines and dotted circles. And now I've got a great big whiteboard, and it's fantastic just to see where all the dotted lines and dotted circles are going to be coming from. I will actually do a picture of mine and put it in the lifestyle group, so just so you can see, not to boast or anything, but it's just for you to actually see where your business can grow from. When you first join the business, you're looking at you in the mirror, and it's you on your own. But then as your business grows and it grows and it grows, and you've got all the dotted lines and dotted circles coming from all your different team members, how that can grow and grow, and how you can visualize. We talked a lot again today. We heard a lot about visualization, and that you really do have to work on that, and you can visualize exactly how your business is going to grow. Okay, so thanks for that, Jo. So habits of a leader. So the key to becoming an effective leader is to become the kind of person that others want to follow. So it's really, really important that you work first and foremost on ourselves. And again, today we heard so much about how we need to work on our mindset, how we need to, read the books and listen to the tapes that we're recommending all the time. I can't count the amount of times that we heard today the importance of reading Questions Are the Answers by Alan Pease. And we must have heard it so many times. It's just a vital book that you need to read when you first join the business, and read it. And my copy is so battered. I've read it that many times, but it's so important that you take on board the books and CDs that we're listening to and reading, and it really is going to help your business. So here's one of those books that we heard about today. One of the first books that I read, and this is you can use this book for lots of other reasons and different things. I mean, I remember when I first got this book, Attitude is Everything. You know, leaders have an amazing attitude, but you can also use this in different situations. I remember having trouble with both my lads, you know, with their attitude and the way they were looking things, and perhaps being naughty in the early days. And I remember one of the disciplines I set my eldest, going back now quite a few years, and it wasn't a naughty step situation, but a kind of naughty step situation. And I said, right, you're not going to come out of your bedroom until you've read that book, and I want to be able to ask you questions about it, because it's such an important book, not just for us within our businesses, but basically about life. And I remember him coming out and he said, that's a fantastic book. I really enjoyed it. Now it's Danny's turn to read it. And so, and then today I had a compliment from one of my neighbours, how polite and wonderful that my son has turned out to be. And I just think that a lot of what our business brings within us as actually then brings out in our kids or in our partners or whoever is part of our lives. And I just think it really does help, not just within the business, but within our lives. And that's just a sidestep away from the webinar this evening, but attitude really is everything. And leaders have an amazing attitude, and the ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do, but your attitude really determines how well you do that. Not necessarily have my sons done really, really well, but I can be really, really proud in the fact that they do have an amazing attitude. And I think I've instilled that in them with what I've learned from our business. So, it's a really sort of sidestep way of, being really proud of what we do. Leaders need to grow their commitment. Leaders are committed to doing their 4 CCs every single month. Leaders are committed to attending all events. And, as Deb said earlier on in the webinar, she has committed to all the events. She's committed to all the product training. She's committed to mindset trainings that aren't necessarily part of company trainings. She's committed to all the company trainings, and that is instilling her within her business, and it's building her an amazing mindset that she instills in herself every single day. She's reading fantastic books and doing different commitments to different things with law of attraction, all sorts of different things that she's doing. But she's committed to attending all the events, and that's so helping her mindset. Leaders are also committed to prospecting and sponsoring. We heard today from Nick Pigeon, who did a video link into the training. She was in America, and I know there's a few of the team doing her program at the moment with Ange Lufton, and a lot of us are going to be starting the program. If you want some more information about this, then please message me or Joe, and we'll give you the information starting on the 15th of November. But she said today that mindset times activity equals results. So you can't just commit to just doing the prospecting and the sponsoring. You have to commit to working on your mindset, working on your goals and your dreams, work on doing whatever it takes, and work on committing to your success, times that by the activity that we need to do on a daily basis. And again, we heard today, by just committing to an hour a day, having a power hour every single day, how that can grow your business tremendously. So you work on your mindset, you work on the activity, and that will equal results. But you can't do just one or the other. You have to work on all of it. It's really important. And that true commitment will attract and inspire people. Nothing happens without that commitment, and it is the secret ingredient of success. And leaders have a humble learning attitude. Keep reiterating, you need to recognize the need to change. You need to become a great student. It's really, really important to build into your 7-day plans on a weekly basis. We're recommending the books. You get to the different events and you hear about different books. Today we heard about how important the Slight Edge book by Jeff Alston is an absolutely fantastic book. And again, I read that years ago, but it's now on my pile to bring back out again. So it's important that you take on board what you need to read and listen to from CDs and books. It's so important that, working on ourselves is such an important part of building our businesses and getting to those trainings that we recommend. It's the biggest part that, I missed in the beginning. I think it took me 6 months to get to my first success day when I first joined the business. And when I went, my first success day was actually where we were today at the Leeds Armouries. And, a bit like, what we went through today, I got so many emotions out of getting to that first success day that I ever went to. And I'd missed a trick because I'd sort of had to put my business on a back burner because I'd had family problems. My mum was very ill. But what I didn't understand is I needed to get to the trainings, which was going to help me. And once I'd done that, once I got to that first training, I very rarely miss trainings. I've been to every single product training. I've been to every single company training over and over and over again. And it's so important. I can't stress it enough. As Deb said, what she got from today was amazing. And Deb's has been to so many different trainings. Jo has been to all the trainings. I said to Jo in her early days that you need to get to this, you need to get to that, you need to get to these trainings and read these books and CDs. And she's done it. And, she's building a fantastic business. So it's so important to take on board that you need to read and listen to the books and CDs and get to the trainings. And from that, you're going to be learn from doing. Don't wait for someone to do it for you. You're going to learn from doing what other people are doing, learning from your upline, learning from your sponsor, and learning from what people are coaching at the trainings, learning from what people are coaching and stories at the BP every single week or every other week, depending on where you live. And don't be afraid of making those mistakes when you do make mistakes, because we all learn from that. I remember even back into my early days of working, one of the first things that I was ever taught was you need to learn from your mistakes. You will make mistakes, but you need to learn from that and move on. And again, it's the same with our business. Learn from your mistakes, draw a line under it. Tomorrow's a new day, and just learn from that. Say I can, I will, not, I would if I could. Those words, I would if I could or I hope, is banned from our vocabulary. It's really important not to say that. We do have to expand our comfort zones. That's really important. If I'd have gone back to my early days if you'd have asked me to do a webinar on a Sunday evening, I did start to do it. I was very, very nervous. Now it's just second pat. I don't even think about doing it. I can so commend other people. This week I've heard stories. Jo's done the first part of the business presentation at her local BP. Sheila's done a story at local BP. Deb Pickering did her story this week at her local BP in York. It's so fantastic to hear that everyone's coming out of their comfort zone and learning from that. Again, those stories, might not have been perfect. I don't know. I wasn't there. I've heard fantastic stories of how excited you all are. But yet we all learn from doing it over and over and over again. Understand that failure is not an option, and we all have to embrace change and ask, how far can we take ourselves? Leaders need to be disciplined. Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. And if we don't have that discipline, it will inevitably lead to failure. And we heard from, Deb said about April Joy today. If you want to actually connect with her, she's very, very open to connecting with anybody else in the business. Her name is April Joy Surgent. And, she talked about the discipline that she's had within her business. And it's the bridge between goals and accomplishments. She talked about it today and how that she had plateaued within her business. She'd got to a certain level within her business, and she plateaued a little bit, and it had dipped a little bit. But she had to work on the discipline and work on some different goals. So she had to work on bridging some new goals and new accomplishments that she wanted to achieve from a business. We can't go into a lot of detail this evening, but if you want to have a chat with me, Debs, or Jo about what I've gone through this with Jo about how she changed her attitude and how she had to change the discipline towards her goals. That it was so inspiring today. It brought quite a few of us to tears, and that that's how we as leaders we need to work on being disciplined and create those daily disciplines. It's about Nikki sent in her message, which is Natasha videoed it, and it's a Facebook Live in the lifestyle group today. What she talked about, and she talks about the 3 C's, about confidence, consistency, and commitment, and the fact that we need to work on these things on a daily basis, work on them every single day, work on our confidence, work on being consistent, and work on our commitment, and that will build the activity and will build the success that we're looking for from our businesses. And leaders need to take action. You can't discover new oceans unless you have the courage to leave the shore. So you've got to take that consistent action on a daily basis. We heard from Fiona Ives today about the power hour, how if you decide on, it doesn't matter when it is, but you put a little memory jogger into your phone on a daily basis that's going to say, right, when is my power hour going to be today? And you work that hour, you really, really focus on working that hour on your business So those that take action are the envy of many others. You need to actually make sure that you actually consistently taking that action on a daily basis, even if it is just for that 1 hour, but really turning it into a power hour. You're going to get so much from what activity you do today. What people don't realize is that you're building a pipeline. It's like putting sausage into a sausage meat machine. You've got to put the activity into the machine for the results to come through. But unless you actually piping lots of sausage meat into that machine, then nothing is going to come through the end. You've got to consistently get that activity into the machine for you actually to see results. And you might not see results for maybe 6 weeks, 2 months, but you've got to consistently put the activity in to get the results. And the results will come through as long as you are doing that activity. And dreams are fulfilled only through action, not through endless planning to take the action. So, it's about doing that action, planning to do it, yes, but actually taking the action over and over again. And if you do that for 3 to 5 years, you will achieve financial security. So leaders need to take personal responsibility, always act, look and behave like a leader. You need to be willing to go that extra mile, both for yourself and for your team. Be driven by excellence, be better than average, be prepared to do basically whatever it takes to take control of your business and your future. Leaders, you need to focus on the end results. Don't let anyone tell you that it can't be done. We're doing a lot of work over the last few months with Phil Jones, and I know Joe's working with Nick Pigeon at the moment, and quite a few of us are going to be working with Nick Pigeon from the 15th of November. And, Nick talks about starting your day off with 3, not a ritual, as a morning ritual, morning mindset ritual. She talks it through. And the first thing we do is to thank. Second thing is to connect, and third thing is to move. But you need to feed your dreams daily as well with positive affirmations and healthy self-talk. So you're going to work on your meditations to start with. So there's different meditations you can look at. We've got the Dave O'Connor 10-minute and 20-minute morning and evening affirmations and blueprints that you can do. There's also, and either ask Joe or myself or Sheila for the Nick one as well. So she's got a morning and an evening one, blueprint or mindset meditation, which is really, really good as well. So, you've got to take what works for you basically, but you need to feed your dreams daily with positive affirmations and healthy self-talk. And then you're going to be looking at gratitude. And Nick coaches doing a page of gratitude every single day. And, I've done that on a regular basis for quite a few years. And I use the Secret Gratitude book. But again, you need to find out what works for you, whether it be a blank book and you just have a day for each day, or you find something that is specifically as a gratitude book like I use with The Secret. You've got to find what works for you, but it's still something that you need to put into your daily ritual, your daily mindset ritual. And then movement. What Nick's coaching is to choose a wonderful song that you really find inspiring and just dance to it for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, however long the music is. Or you can just use, you look at with the Miracle Morning, then, for me, it was walking my dog first thing. So you've got to choose what works for you, but you've got to fit this into your daily mindset ritual, and feed your dreams daily with positive affirmations and healthy self-talk. And leaders need to conquer fear and doubt, stay away from negativity, because fear is false evidence appearing real. We need to recognize our fears and deal with them. That was something that I had to really, really work on, and still do, to be honest. We all have fears. It's not, it's not just being new in the business. It's about, even after years and years of being in the business, I still have fears about doing certain aspects of the business, but we have to recognize those and learn to deal with them. It's really important for us to stay away from negative people. We heard today again from Bob about neckheads. We're all going to get negative people. It's not just you or me or anybody within the team that's got certain negative people. Everybody, every single person within our business or within our type of business comes across negative people. We've got to learn to stay away from those negative people, and those negative situations and move on. And again, it's all about reading the books and listening to the CDs and working on ourselves. You know, sometimes it's very hard in our early days when we're coming across these negative people that, you know, we think it's us that they're being negative to, but it's not. It's, you know, they're being negative to themselves, basically. And so we've got to learn to stay away from that situation and eliminate any doubts by asking the questions, you know, that you need answering first to put your mind at rest. Leaders need to develop a passion, and when you truly believe in something, you carry it in your heart, accepting no excuses, own the results. And here's the equation that, you know, we learn in the Miracle Morning book. And what I recommend everybody do, obviously, is read the book for once and then go back over the book. And what I did when I went back over the book is I've put post-it bits in pages where I need to remember. I've also gone through it with a highlighter pen and made notes on it as well. And you know, it's about, you know, you've got your 6 different aspects of the Miracle Morning. You know, with obviously with Nick, she's actually just bringing in 3, but it's all, you know, it's all part of the same thing. We need to have that silence in the morning and meditate. We need to work on our affirmations. We need to work on our visualization. We need to do some form of exercise. We need to do some form of reading. And we need to do some form of writing in our journal and our gratitude book. So the whole, you know, the whole thing is coming together with everybody's teaching pretty much the same thing, but it's about taking on board what is best for you. But it's got to be some form of at least the minimum 3. At least you need to be doing your meditation, you need to be doing your gratitude, and you need to be doing some form of exercise or movement. And then, you know, building into your daily ritual when you do it first thing in the morning or not, depending on whether, you know, family or, you know, commitments take over. We know that, but it's got to be some part of your ritual throughout the day. And unwavering faith and extraordinary efforts will give miracles. Leaders need to learn to communicate with passion and integrity. So you need to learn to talk about the products. And again, you know, as I said before, earlier on, right at the beginning of the webinar this evening, you don't have to learn about all the different products. You need to learn about the core products. You know, if you choose 10 products that you're really, really, really passionate about, just learn those products inside out. Now, for example, Deb Simpson at the moment is moving an awful lot of MPD because she started to talk to people about it. She's lending it people just as a one-off product. And I don't know how many she's actually moved over the last few weeks, but it's really quite a few. And she hadn't actually moved any MPD before that. So it's learning to talk about different products that you particularly use. And obviously the drinking gels, the C9 and the RG Plus really just need to be part of those 10 products that you particularly choose because they're the fastest moving products. You need to learn how to make a prospecting call. And again, today we learned how to do, you know, with Carl Burrows, Emma Cooper's brother, he did a fantastic presentation of how he's built his business, learning how to do a one-to-one. He did it with himself in the mirror. I had to learn how to do a one-to-one with myself in the mirror. We didn't have the internet like we've got today. We didn't have webinars like we've got today. You know, we had obviously the phone, and my upline taught me how to do a one-to-one over the phone, but I had to practice doing it on a face-to-face basis with the mirror, and that's how I learned it. But you know, it's learning how to do a one-to-one over, practice doing it over and over again until you've got it perfect. Learn how to participate in trainings. And we'd love more people to come forward to doing little, you know, nuggets of slots on the Sunday evening. That would be fantastic for people to get involved. And I really do welcome people to come forward to get involved in that. Learn how to do a great planning meeting. Learn how to volume map, as Jo went through earlier on this evening. And learn how to inspire others. And again, you're going to get that from that by getting to events and getting to the trainings, because you know, we've had such an inspiring day today, and we just want to transfer our enthusiasm for getting to events and how important it is. If you learn all these things quickly, it will make you a fortune. Leaders need to learn to be persistent and consistent. You need to go over and under, go round and go through, but never, ever, ever give up. And one of Phil Jones's webinars and lessons for this week, an amazing webinar. And his last thoughts on that webinar was never, ever, 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 ever. And how many times he said ever? It must have been 20 times, but never, ever, 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 ever give up. If you're persistent, you will get it. If you're consistent, you will keep it. Leaders need to stay motivated even when challenged. Look for reasons for doing what needs to be done rather than finding excuses for what not needs to be done. You need to feed your affirmations every single day. Affirm, affirm, affirm. You need to look at your dream book, vision boards daily to feed your mind with your goals and your dreams every single day. And, you know, I talk to yourself every single day. You need to write this down if you possibly can every single day. But even if you don't if you're not into the habit of doing that, then just talk to yourself. I can do this, and I am doing this. So it's going to help you get motivated and stay motivated, because there's no shortcuts to any place worth going. Leaders genuinely care about others. Help enough people to achieve their dreams and goals, and everything will come to you. You need to give your time to those who want to learn. So, you know, that's so important. Give your time to the people who want to learn and are showing you that they want the success from the business. And then you can show them that you know you're going to give your time to them so that you can care about the success of them. Leaders love what they do and they have fun for it. You've got to remember that Forever is a long-term business. It's not going anywhere, but you need to learn to have fun and love what you do. Building it correctly will give you and your family experiences beyond your wildest dreams. Have fun learning the business in the process. You know, it's not all going to come at once. You know, even after all these years, I loved today. It was so inspiring. You know, you still get nuggets from every single time you get to a training. And if you're not having fun, then you are really doing something wrong. Leaders have a huge vision. Effective leaders have a vision for what they want to accomplish, and that vision becomes the energy behind every effort and thought they put into their business. You can't borrow somebody else's vision. You've got to grow your own. You can borrow somebody else's story, but you can't borrow their vision. You've got to grow your own vision. And again, you know, it comes back to getting to events, getting to trainings, getting to your local BPs, getting to everything that you possibly can, reading the books, reading the CDs, and create that vision that's bigger than you, and it will stretch you. So what's your 5-year vision? So I had to do this quite a while ago, and I still do it. I just think it's such a powerful exercise. So what you need to do is have a clear couple of pages, A5 pages. You need to sit down in quiet, in your own space, and write down how you'd like a day excuse me, sorry, how you'd like a day in your life in 5 years from now to look. Describe your perfect day. Write it out in as much detail as you possibly can, using all different 5 senses. So what does it feel like? What does it taste like? How does it, you know, what can you hear? What can you taste? You know, use all your 5 senses and create the vision of something that really is going to move you and that will galvanize you into taking massive, massive action. Be so inspired that you can articulate it clearly with belief and passion. And again, that's really, really going to help you. And you can start to visualize that with the meditation that you're doing in the morning, whether it be Nick or with Dave or with the law of attraction, whatever it is that you're doing with visualization. It's so important to incorporate that into your life. You know, take time to do this exercise with your 5-year vision, because it really will galvanize you into taking massive action. And finally, as a leader, you have to take responsibility for your own failures as well as your own successes. And it's the only way we learn. You know, we learn from making mistakes. I've learned from doing bad one-to-ones. I've learned from contacting people with, being nervous about a phone call. I've learned from that. It's just practice and practice and practice, and you'll learn from making those mistakes. And if you keep learning, then you'll keep improving. And when as you improve, your leadership will get better and better. And in time, you'll learn the right to lead on the level that you deserve. And again, we can't stress enough how important it is to actually put on paper your 7-day plans on a weekly basis, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evenings, or whether it be before the webinar or after the webinar. Make sure that you're actually planning out your 7-day plans. We heard so many times today how important it is. So on the left-hand side, you need to put down your names from your Who Do You Know list that you're going to contact this week. And depending whether you're full-time or part-time in the business, you may need to use the back of the sheet as well. So again, we heard today how it's important to map out that you're going to be contacting 5 people a day. So you need to put it, depending on whether you're part-time or full-time in the business, you need to make sure that you're getting at least 25 people on there, 35 people on there, depending on, whether you're part-time or full-time, as I said. And then also at the bottom of that, put it into your follow-up calls as well. So don't forget, the importance of making your follow-up calls. You need to document those as well. And then on the other hand, on the right-hand side, you need to put both your activities, so your retailing activity and your prospecting activity. So what different methods you're choosing for your retail, booking in those pop drops, booking in your launches stalls, contacting customers, using dear neighbour letters, all the different activities that we go through in week 2. You need to choose what activities you're going to be doing for retail. And then your prospecting activities, again, choose your 3 different methods that we go through on week 4. So you're speaking to a minimum of 5 people a day, whether it be cards, flyers, in local shops, through letterboxes, on car door handles. Choose what activity is best for you, contact marketing, and contacting people on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You've got to choose which is the best prospecting methods for you, but don't choose just one. You need to choose 3 different methods of prospecting. And then you've got your training and other events underneath that. So what do you actually need to do, what you're focusing on doing, what you're listening to, what you're reading, what trainings do you need to get booked in, what BPs you're going to, make sure you've got the webinars on there and you're coaching that down deep into your team. And again, the successful people don't just come on the webinar on a 1 to 6 week basis. They need to keep coming on until that they can deliver the trainings themselves. Book success day tickets, what you're going to reading a minimum of 10 pages a day of what book. Make sure you're all getting booked into your first Steps to Manager training. And again, it's not just about going to the training once, it's going to it over it and over it and over again. And then what planning meetings you need to get booked in with your team for this week. So really, really important to make sure that you're mapping out your 7-day plan. And, take a picture of it, send it to myself or Joe, depending on whose team you're in, or Deb's, and we'll be able to help you plan and review them then. Okay, so that was your homework for this week, is making sure that you're doing your 7-day plans. This is just an extra slide for this evening, and you've only got until midnight tonight to actually do this. These are the special offers that we got from the training today. So there was 2 special trainings. We've only got till midnight. So if you haven't already done the Louise Riley's Nutrition, Weight Management and Sports Performance Training Workshop, then the next one is November the 7th, and that's at the Village Hotel, Leeds South. You can see the link there. Please take a screenshot, or I did put this picture into the lifestyle group earlier on today. That's the link to actually book onto that. The prize, you'll be entered into a prize draw to win a C9. Wow, free C9, fantastic. And then the next masterclass, the next Area 170 masterclass. If you're not in Area 170, then I'm sorry about this, but obviously please look locally to see what you've got going on locally with your masterclasses and your trainings. But the next Area 171 is on the 29th of April. It's not the Leeds South, it's Village Hotel, it's the Leeds North Village Hotel. And for tonight only till midnight, it's £20. When you actually book on it, it looks like £21 something, but I'm sure that Kevin will change it and we'll get a refund for the £1 whatever. But that will go up to 30 quid after this evening, midnight. So there's the link there. Just go onto that link. And they, as it says there, remember these offers are only valid until midnight tonight. Okay, so we're mid-month. Have a fantastic, we love seeing everyone today. We had a fantastic day. Hope everyone takes on board what we've coached tonight and what they learned today. But have a fantastic week, everyone. Look forward to seeing everyone and building a great business. Thanks very much, Joe, and thanks a lot for Deb this evening as well for her testimonial from today. Brilliant. Okay, thanks.
Bye, everyone. Bye.